Here tonight. My name is Diane Vargo and I'm the principal of Vail Academy and High School. Tonight we have district leadership. We have our assistant superintendent, Mr. Ethan Hurley, here tonight. And we have our superintendent, Mr. John Caruth, also here tonight. I recognize that many of you are here tonight because you care deeply about Vail Academy and High School and the future of our students, staff, and families. I also understand that there are strong feelings, concerns, and differing perspectives in this room. That is completely understandable with the topics that we're talking about tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Caruth.
Thanks, Diane. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, my name is John Caruth. I'm I used to be assistant superintendent of the school district for about 15 years, actually. I'm superintendent of the Vail School District. It's my deep honor to be able to do that. I think I'm the only one in this room who taught at Vail High School in the 9040 building. In fact, I ended my teaching career. Last year I was in a classroom, was at Vail High School. I helped unpack furniture the very first year that we opened, and we were a very innovative program in 1997 to open Vail High School. And we did that as a community out of a response to parents who were asking us. They wanted a local high school option. There was no local high school option at the time. We did not have the ability, we were a K-8 school district, we didn't have the ability to have our high school students here, and we used the charter school legislation that had just passed to work an agreement with a tech park to open, it was about, I don't know, a dozen offices in the 9040 building. We started that year with somewhere between 90 and 100 high school kids. I came the following year and started a program for high school kids that were behind in credit, because what we found was that a number of the young people who were coming back to us were doing so with pretty significant credit deficiencies. And so I just tell you that story because that program that I started existed at Vail High School for about 4 years. And many of you know Mr. Barger. He was, I handed the baton ultimately to him. He did that for a few years. And then we closed that program at Vail High School. It shut for a few years, and then Ethan Hurley was a young teacher at Cienega High School, saw the same need at Cienega, picked it up, started that program there. Then it became Pantano High School at Cienega High School, and then Pantano High School, its own standalone building. And I just want to pull that story through for a couple of reasons. One, we are here today, as Diane so well stated, to truly listen to you and your concerns and questions at a time when we're at a point where we need to examine what trends are and how we can ensure the health and vitality of Vail Academy and High School in programming for students in grades K through 12 at this location into the future, into that next iteration of what it needs to be. But change happens. I just want to also say that. And so what we need to do, and what I'm hopeful that this is early, and I just also want to say this is very early in the process of imagining what change should be in through the lens of what's best for kids and high that meets their academic needs, and also is fiscally responsible for us and viable, because that means that it's viable. So fundamentally, that's what we're doing here this evening. And got quick. Diane is going to go through a few slides to provide a little bit of background. and then we'll open it up for questions or comments. And I just want to say, I know on the program it said an hour. I am not going to go to Pantano. It's kind of ironic, I didn't think about that till just now. I'm not going to Pantano's graduation tonight. I'll stay here with you. Ethan and Katie are going to be covering that. So we're here to listen to you and talk about what next steps look like. Okay, thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Mr. Kruth. So tonight I'm going to walk through our objective, key information related to enrollment and school structure, possible solutions that we talked about, and then we'll transition to where we have people will have the opportunity to share comments and ask any questions later on, okay? And I just want to apologize that the front portion of tonight's presentation is a bit more data heavy, as we felt it was important to begin by sharing the facts, because there is quite a bit of misinformation out there. So I want to give you the facts up front so that we're all working on the same information, okay? So like Mr. Kuth was saying, our objective tonight is to share with you, a larger audience, the recommendations of our focus group committee and to gather additional stakeholder input to help us inform us on the possible next steps. So a focus group was created, and the purpose of this group was to bring stakeholders together to reflect on who we are as a school, what makes Vail Academy and High School unique, and what will best position us to attract and retain families in the future. And at our first meeting, we established these value statements that guided our discussions in our meetings. And student-focused, we placed students at the center of all discussions. Community-minded was our value statement. We strive for solutions that are fiscally responsible, data-driven, fair, and serve the broader good while recognizing no solution is perfect. And unifying purpose, we work toward an identity that unites our school community, fosters pride, and serves as a guiding foundation for decision-making and school culture. So here is our projected enrollment for next school year at Vail Academy and High School. And we have it broken up by bands. So in the first column here, we have elementary totaling to almost close to 300 students. And middle school, as you can see, our sixth grade, there is a high interest there, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the number of students equals the number of staff, number of teachers and staff. And we are held accountable to our projections and are expected to run efficiently. When we looked at our open enrollment for Vail Academy and High School, we found that there were so many middle school families that wanted to come here. So much so that we have 2 6th grade classes right now. We added a third 6th grade class because we had so many families that wanted to come here. And we added a third one, and then we had to turn away more 6th graders. In addition to that, we had 25 7th graders that wanted to come to our school. But we don't have enough classrooms to take those 25 students. But there is definitely an interest for families at the middle school level that want to come to our school. So what is the class average size across these 3 bands? So at the elementary level, we do have, last year we had 24 students, average class size, this year 23. At the middle school, we have 27, and this school year we have about 27, 28. And at the high school level, we have last year close to 16, and this year we're at 14 at the high school. So comparatively, our elementary and middle school enrollment is much stronger than our high school numbers. We actually have 11 high school classes that have less than 10 students in their class this year. And over time, this creates challenges in staffing, programming, course offerings, and long-term sustainability. So if you were to compare Vail Academy and High School, we have 105 students. If you were to compare us to another small school in our district, let's say Andrada or Empire High School, So Andrada has about 873 students. Empire has 875. We have 105 at our school. This shows the number of classes that those schools have that have less than 10 students. And the funding model is that we should be around 20 students for almost all class sizes. All right, this is a lot of data here. A lot of information here. So this is high school enrollment. So if you take a look at the first day of school in 2021, we have 165 students start with us. This is broken up by years on the left, first day of school, and then January of that year, right underneath it. And then we're looking at freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. And then we have a column also for early college here, and then our total for the year. This section here shows that 13 students transferred out at the January date. So we have students that are leaving our school at the January transfer request time. So in 2021, we had 165 students at Vail Academy. In January of that year, that school year, we had 152. The next school year in 2022, we had 157, and at January, 8 transferred and left us, and we finished with we had 149 in January. And then in 2023, we started with 161. 9 of them transferred at January, we're at 152. Last school year, we had 166. At January, we had 27 of our students leave us, finishing off at 139. And this school year, we started with 128. And now we're at 105 with 23 of them transferring out. Now, if you were to follow a cohort, let's follow our freshmen here. In 2021, we had 74 freshmen here. In January, 7 of them left. We are at 67. Then their sophomore year, the following year, we had 56 of them return. 52 at January of that school year. As juniors, 52 came. 47 remained. And then as seniors, we're at 46 here. And at 42, we're here. And so if you were to also look at our early college numbers, the last 3 years, 10% of all early college students come from Vail Academy. But we are only 2% of the district's high schoolers. So more of our students want something different even after being here for 2 to 3 years. And when you combine all of those numbers, we are averaging more than 10% leaving our high school between the first day and January. So like I was saying, at this freshman cohort right here, the 74, by the time they were seniors, we're at 42. So 45% of those 9th graders found a different school, a different program by their senior year. And an average at the other high schools, we're looking at about 13%. So families are pretty much voting with their feet and looking for something else for their high school experience. So why do our middle school students leave Vail Academy for other high schools? Sports, electives, clubs, variety of courses, fine arts. This is a list of some reasons. But we looked even further. We looked at the class of 2027, and we had 63 8th graders, and by their 22 of them stayed here as freshmen, and now we have 6 of them that are still here that are juniors now. In the class of 2028, we had 59 8th graders. 21 of them stayed for high school. They're sophomores now. We have 14 right now. 55, the class of 2029. 28 stayed as a freshman, and this was in July. And as of right now, we have 21 of them. So 7 of them left in January. And our 8th graders right now, we have 56 of our 8th graders right now. 18 of them are staying for freshmen for next school year. And this was taken actually for high school choice, so it was in probably mid-February we have this data. All right, so here we have the last 4 years, and just want to go over with proposed and actual enrollment. So proposed enrollment means that this is how the school is staffed, okay? And then we have actual student enrollment, which is, these are the students that are actually seating in seats, okay? So in 2022 to 2023 had 645. Actual students in seats were at 550. There's a difference of 95 students that we were under enrolled by 95 students. 23-24, we were staffed for 627. Students in seats was 592. We were under enrollment by 35 students. Last school year, 643. Our actual students in seats was 603, and we were under enrolled by 40. This school year, we were staffed for 607. We're at 557. We were under enrollment by 50. And every student, one student, if you're under enrolled, one student is $7,800. So over the last 4 years, we've cost the district over $1 million by being under enrolled. So our focus group committee, we had, for more than a decade, Vail Academy High School has accepted all high school open enrollment students, but despite these efforts, enrollment has not shown sustained growth. At the same time, families now have more options for high school, more choices for families to choose from. And as the focus group reviewed the current reality of our enrollment and school structure, the group discussed several possible paths forward. And these options were considered through the lens of student experience, school identity, operational efficiency, and long-term sustainability. And after thoughtful discussion and review of possible options, the focus group reached a recommendation through a voting process. And the final recommendation, by a 17-1 vote, was to explore a transition to a K-8 model beginning in the 27-28 school year. The group believed this option best positions Vail Academy and High School to strengthen enrollment, create more balanced class sizes, and establish a sustainable long-term model for the school while preserving the strengths families value in our community. Now this recommendation is not a reflection of a lack of value in our high school students, staff, or families. Rather, it reflects the difficult reality of our current enrollment trends and the need to consider a sustainable path forward for Vail Academy and High School as a whole. So at this time, we'd like to open the floor for community and comments and questions. And we'll have a mic, if we can get that set up, we'll have a mic over here. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. If you would like to speak, please come to the microphone. We ask that each speaker limit their time to sharing comments or asking up to 2 questions so that we can hear from as many individuals as possible this evening. And as we move into this portion of the evening, I want to revisit the norms that will guide this process. First, we ask that all speakers be respectful and trustworthy in how they communicate and engage with others. Second, we ask that we all listen to understand. There may be differing opinions and perspectives, in the room, and it is important that we create space to hear one another. Finally, we ask that we share airtime by being mindful of time and allowing space for multiple voices to be heard tonight. So come on up if you'd like to speak.
Hello. I think one of my biggest focuses, given what I do to volunteer here, is of course the robotics program. I believe that when I joined the Vail Academy in high school, focus, the reason why I came here was because of the high school robotics team, that it was there and it exists. And there was actually efforts to try to expand that, not just to high school, but to middle school and even elementary for a while. I became coach of middle school in order to help foster that pipeline to bring those that are interested in STEM, to give those opportunities that never existed 20 years ago. I feel that the high school team is one of the crown jewels of this school, and one of the main draws and one of the main ruses of its community. With this suggestion of going to K through 8, I mean, one of those, where would that crown jewel go, and what does that really mean for the identity of this school?
So, first of all, I think that's a great question, and just I think I want to pull it out just a little bit broader than that. So, I think the general concern that you can see in the data are if we're seeing a decreasing in high school enrollment in particular, that puts pressure on our ability to provide rich programming, whether it's robotics or any of the other arts or elective programs, because it's just a number of students there. So if we had more students, the robotics program is a great example, would be able to have more participation. I think to pull the conversation up a little bit, that we really need to engage with is whatever we do for high school, we need to be mindful and have conversations with you or parents in the room, like what are you looking for in high school that you're seeking at Vail Academy in high school in general, and then where's the best location for that? And I don't know the answer. I'll be completely plain with you. I don't think any of us have an answer to that question or a preconceived notion of what that should be, other than having 100 kids here for high school, frankly, harms our robotics and other programs if it continues at that low level, right? And so that's the main issue I think we're trying to untangle. And I don't know how to answer your question beyond saying, yeah, we need to listen, we need to look at that, and what does that mean? And I'm smiling at the state banner for robotics, right? I mean, it's a great program, it's a wonderful program, but I think it's a good analogy for what programming looks like at the high school level when you have dwindling numbers, and how do you support those rich offerings for kids who deserve those things in a financial, fiscally responsible and sustainable way, if we can't get enrollment up, or if if parents are voting with their feet on where they want to go. So I think that's, you're talking about it from a specific program, but I think that program, that notion is one we need to really push into over the next several months, is what does high school programming look like? Why are you choosing high school here, and then where's the best location for those things?
My name is Amber Jackson. I know a lot of people here. I am unfortunately uniquely affected by this. I do not have a high schooler here. I will not have a high schooler here next year. I have children who have graduated from Cienega. I have children who have graduated from Pantano. I have family members who graduated from those first classes at Vail High School. I do have a Vail Academy student right now. He came here this year from OBMS. He was a top performing student at one of the elementary schools here, went to OBMS. His academics were great. When I say top performing, I mean he is a 7th grader in 9th grade classes here. He was in OBMS. He was overlooked because he is a well-behaved child who gets good grades. His social standing suffered. He came home crying every day due to certain teachers who told him to get out of the way, basically. Here he found his community. He found the teachers, the students who are like-minded like him, who are pushing forward to higher academic standards, and who are pushing forward to careers in technology, business, and all of these fields that Vail Academy, I'm sorry, I always forget the academy part, that Vail Academy puts out into the world today. Subjecting the state to not having those students out in the workforce is a major, major detriment. I work with a lot of the schools. I do some resume teaching and some interviewing as part of, I have a professional job on the side of that. The other part that makes this a little bit awkward for me is I have a child who applied to get in here and was turned away while I have a current student here. So that's a struggle for me to know that there are solutions out there, and when I look and I see that the enrollment numbers that are looking are in the middle school area, that tells me that we're looking for a higher education model. There's elementary schools all over the place. Middle school and high school are where the attention really should be focused. If you want to drive higher numbers into the high school, it's by enriching those programs and enriching the enrollment, enriching the, I can't even think of the word, but going out and getting those students to know what's to offer here. The best way to do that is to offer a robust middle school program. I'm not sure how the focus groups were created. Trust me, if I had been notified, I would definitely be involved. But it sounds to me like exploring a 6 to 12 model might also be an option, which may come and meet that gap that is necessary in this district at this time. The other thing I want to point out is I work in data for a living. I would be wondering, when we talk about people voting with their feet, how many of those people were open enrollment that choose to go back to the other district? Or were military families that left, or other people that left for other reasons? I'd be interested to know what the exit percentages were at other high schools and other middle schools year over year when following that cohort from beginning to end. So I guess my big question is, and I want to bring attention, is what are we going to do for, or how do we support the community of these, there's several of them sitting in this front row, I have to know as well, these incredible students who go out of their way to do these amazing things and tell them, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to go find your place at one of the other high schools, which, by the way, high school choice is very difficult. Correct. Much like my other students, just because you pick Andrada or you pick Empire does not mean you get to go there.
Again, I think these are great points, and so thank you. I want to clear up perhaps a misconception, and I understand why it exists, but I want to, and that is that a focus group is one made a recommendation, and so if it's looking at this thing, one, it's a foregone conclusion. It is not. So we're exploring and listening. So that's one misconception. The other misconception, I think this is the one I think we need to lean into most, and that is your very accurate description of what do you as a mom want to see for your particular child in a middle through high school experience that we don't already offer in one of those 4 other, I'll just say, high school offerings. What is that? And I think that's and we need time to explore what that looks like and imagine what it is, but what that is, and then imagine where it is, right? I think all of those things are true. And so that could be, the place is almost, in my mind, is second.
The community can be built anywhere. The question is making it accessible and available for the students, and this place does that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Please hear me say that. I think that's the place that over the next several months we really need to explore is you as a mom. What are you looking for? What's your child looking for? And what does that need mean for you? And then let's talk about that. The thing, what I know we've seen, and we can get into more data, but the thing that is indisputable is since there's two expansions that I think have harmed enrollment at Vail Academy, in particular at the high school level, and harmed in a way that I think more parents and children are choosing that. One was in 2018, the expansion the addition of Vail Early College. And then the first few years, I think people kind of watched that, and now it's kind of on fire, and people are like, oh, that has real value, and I see my kid going there. And the other thing that we're seeing, and we serve somewhere 80 to 100 kids there right now, is that works great for those 80 or 100 kids, but we don't have 200 kids that want that, or 300 kids that want that. We have about 100. And so what we're seeing is that there's more young people at Vail High School proportionally who think, because they're looking for something different, and they see that, and they're thinking, hey, that's a good idea. I think rather than spend my senior year here, spending it at Pima. So that's one avenue that I think is expanded. And then the other one, quite honestly, is the expansion of Micah Mountain High School. Another, we now have two large comprehensive high schools that have this full offerings. And when we opened both of those things, we saw the enrollment, and you pull it back up there, it kind of went down about 150-ish, right? And it's kind of bumped along, and now it's here. So to me, the question that hangs in the air is, so let's cut through the noise of all of these things and say, well, what do we need to do that provides programming where your children can be seen and get the things they need, that is a rich programming for them, and where is that? And what is it and where is it?
And is it accessible to the students to get to?
Yeah.
I can't even get my second child in here.
Yeah, and I would imagine your second child is a K child.
She's a sixth grader.
Yeah, that's right. So if we expand, which is putting...
Right, but I don't want to put additional children in. There are 500 other children who need to be considered as well. I mean, there's 500 other children. So as a person who works in the business environment and who plays with this, schema of budgetary concerns all day and all night, there has to be a way to make it work, and being transparent and open about that, I think, is the first thing.
Yeah. So and let me.
I'm sorry, I could do this all day, and I don't want to, because I want to be respectful of all the other people who talk.
At the risk of so no emotion in the statement. I know there's emotion around it, but no emotion. If you look at it strictly from a business standpoint, what we're seeing is flat enrollment at the elementary. Significant interest and demand for middle school and declining interest in high school, right? So if we were Kmart or whatever business, we would
But your growth potential is in high school, not in the elementary school. Oh, sorry, sorry, I won't go there. But I'm just, my point is my child isn't even a high schooler yet. I'm looking towards what he has been planning, and I know there's other students as well. I mean, like I said, he won't even do this year. But he had this planned out, and I know there's many students the same way. And I know there's ways to increase enrollment. I think an opportunity should be given to allow for recruitment, and I don't see that happening out there today as well.
So I think what I would say, and then
I will go and sit down and let all the students learn. I'm so sorry.
We want to invite you into the process to talk about what that looks like.
Excellent.
Hello, my name is Isabella Kern, and I'm a sophomore here at Vail Academy High School. And I have been here since 5th grade. And, sorry, I apologize if I stutter or if I cry. This is just a very hard topic for me. I would like to talk about the impact that this school has made on me, not just as a person, but as a student. I used to go to a Sunnyside school, and Sunnyside isn't big on it, but academics. When I came to Vail Academy High School in 5th grade, I had straight C's. And now I am an honor roll student, and I've been an honor roll student since middle school. I would like to talk about the fact that this school and these teachers here have built me as a person, and I can see myself going into the world and being proud of who I am. What I'm trying to get with this is, this school can do so much more with its K through 12. We have an incredible FBLA program that, yes, has been down for the past couple years because of teachers. But the FBLA teacher now is incredible, and I plan on joining FBLA this year because my CTE that I'm in, which is Education Professions, and I'm really proud of being in that class because my teacher has gone above and beyond to get us into the actual school classrooms that we have so we can get the K-5 experience. And I personally think if we had more programs like that, we could I can't figure out the word, but just get the school better. We have nothing to make us unique right now. We're just an academic school. We have, yes, we may have robotics and we may have FBLA, but we can do so much more with our robotics team, our FBLA team. If we kept the CTE that I'm in, which is Education Professions, we can do so much more with our high school. We can get future educators here, get them an actual school experience, K through 12, see them in elementary, middle school, and high school. Get all the perspectives of the teacher. And I personally think since I've been in that class, I may actually want to be a teacher when I grow up because it seems fun. And getting to be with those kids made me happy. And since I've been here and being an upperclassman, I get to make a little kid happy every day just by saying, "Hi, how are you? I hope you have a good day," or waving to them, and I see their smile on their face. So my question is, what have you done for our school, Ms. Bargo, like for the high school side? Because me personally, as a high school student, I feel like I don't see you a lot on the high school side. I see you on the elementary and middle school side. But Mr. Barger, and I know you're not Mr. Barger, but he was proud to have a high school here. And he will probably still be proud of the high school still being here because he worked for this. But just because our enrollment is down, it seems like no one has done anything for the high school. And me personally, as a high school student, makes me sad because I am really happy if I graduate here because I've seen the schools grow so much.
Thank you for being brave and for speaking in front of such a large audience. I don't know if I could have done that in high school. I'm very, if I would love for to remain a K-12, I would love for that to be the case. And I'm not saying that we're transitioning to a K-8, and that was just something we're exploring. But running with 105 students, it makes it very challenging for staffing, for programs, for courses, and for all the things. And it's very complicated. But I would love to be a K-12 school and be running efficiently where we have 650 to 700 students. But right now, that's not where we're at right now.
Well, I personally would like to say with the school, there's nothing unique about the school. The only thing unique about the school is that we're a K through 12. We don't have programs like Micah or Cianica or Andrada. That's why we're losing so many students, because we don't have those programs.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have those programs, I'm pretty sure. Well, if I look at past yearbooks, we've had so many clubs, drama club, gaming club, but all that went away. I don't know why, but that all went away. And it really upsets me that it seems like most of the high school students are leaving because we don't have the opportunities like other high schools to do because we're such a small school. But I feel like if we empowered that we're such a small school and had activities at small schools too, education learning, one-on-one time with the younger students, if we made this school something unique, like a possible teaching school, having younger students figure out if they want to go into teaching. Teachers may not get enough, but if we have enough teachers, maybe teachers will get paid more. Maybe teachers will want to actually stay here.
Thank you for sharing.
My name's Aubrey Pelfrey. I've only been here a year or two. I came here as a freshman. I'm now a sophomore. But what made my parents really look into this school was the fact it's a K through 12, and I have a younger brother who is in first grade, and my mom was in the military, and so was my stepdad. And so as they both come out of the military, they were really looking for a school that my younger brother could stay at for his whole academic career and not go through what me and my older brother have gone through. We've gone through so many schools that made us feel unwelcome and unsafe, but here at Vail, we felt super safe, welcome, and loved by the teachers. Specifically for me, 3 certain high school teachers. And we also live in a really unsafe neighborhood. So being able to get on the same bus as him at the same time, walk home with him, because we live near the highway, is so important to my mom because of how young my brother is. And yes, we don't have as much clubs, but a lot of us are willing to start clubs. We just have to find the correct teacher to support the club, like FFA, FCCLA. And I know we were supposed to have FCCLA if FFS doesn't cut next year. This school is just so important to me and my family because it makes not all of us feel safe, but it also just provides my little brother so many opportunities as an overachieving first grader. He's doing 2nd grade math. And it just breaks my heart knowing that he might not get to graduate with his friends if we don't stay at high school side.
Thank you for sharing.
I guess my question is for Mr. Caruth. And I don't understand budgets, okay? I don't understand how that works, but Ms. Vargas shared with us that our projections have been off, and that is why we have cost the district $1 million. So if we have a projection and we miss it, and we over budget because we missed the projection, and then the next year it's the same thing, we over projected, we missed the projection, we're costing the district money, and the next year the same thing happens, and the next year the same thing happens. I teach math, and if I had a student do a problem 5 or 6 times and get it wrong, I would tell them, try something different. So I guess my question to you is, why have you not changed the algorithm that you use to make the projections so that it matches what we actually have at this point? And I know the enrollment has dropped this year. That we can come back from that. We really can. Why keep projecting and projecting and losing money and losing money and losing money and not change the way you make the projections?
Great question, Linda. 2 things. One, big picture, and then I'll drop into more specifics. As a school district of 15,000 students now, we can run inefficient for some period of time if we're trending in the right direction. In other words, if we're watching where enrollment is, but we've got kind of a direction where we're going, and then we see things start ticking up, we can run inefficient and get there knowing that there's some inefficiencies, but we're going to get to where we need to go. So that's one thing. Unfortunately, budgeting isn't just a formula like in your math class, and you hit it and you do it. Budgeting is also a negotiation, and part of that negotiation over the years has been, we think you're going to be here, but and then the negotiators, no, I'm going to be here. I know we're going to be here. I promise you I'm going to be here. And then, are you sure? Yeah, I'm promising we're going to be here. Here's the things, here's what it is, and then you come in and it's not there. So that doesn't fit in a formula. That's part of the human negotiation around what that looks like. And I think, the first few years of a trend, you think, okay, that trend will bounce back. And then the trend over 5 years is, okay, now we have something that is in place and we need to address. And that's fundamentally where we are, is we're at a place that we've watched the trend. You know, year 1 and 2 could have been an anomaly. Year 3, okay. Year 4, we have an issue. We need to address the issue, and now here we are. And so that's fundamentally where we are in this process. Is, hey, we've watched this thing, and now we need to make some adjustments because this trend is permanent, appears permanent, and we've got to reverse where that is. And I think what I want to clearly state to all of you again is this is a time to be invited into the process and talk about what that looks like and how we can do that. And again, I'll state the kind of the data over that 5-year period of time is pretty stable enrollment at the K-5, more interest than availability at middle school, and declining interest at the high school. And so those are just the trends that we have to address. And so predetermining what that outcome looks like isn't doing us any good. Other speakers, and be able to provide enough staffing to provide them the programming around what it is that will draw interest. I don't think any of us here have an answer to that question other than that's the issue, and collectively we need to figure out how to address that issue and what is the best solution. Not a solution that meets everyone's needs, or because that's physically impossible, but what is the best, what is reasonable and the best idea moving forward that meets the majority of those needs. And I just want, I can't state strongly enough how much I understand what it means to a particular individual young person that they be seen and valued and heard in a place. That's why I gratefully started the program I did 30 years ago here, because we care about those kids. And how do we continue to do that? So it isn't a matter of change is going to devalue or ignore that, but we've got to have solutions that meets their needs, that is fiscally responsible and sustainable over time. That is the fundamental issue.
Hello. I'm an engineer, so I kind of think of things in like hypotheticals and going down the path of kind of what you're talking about. So I have a question and a comment. If we go with your K through 8 scenario, does that mean high school is here next year, and then do you help disperse all those kids that are in 9th, 10th, 11th grade and getting them into the schools and the bus schedule and getting them placed? Like, how does that work?
So
if we go with your theory.
Right, so if we were to explore this further,
right.
We would meet with all the high school principals. I know I had a parent ask me, I'm open enrollment out of district, will I still be able to go into Vail School District? And I spoke to Mr. Kirk today, and yes, we will still honor those that are open enrollment out of district because we don't want them to be displaced. We want to find a high school for them. And so when I think about our freshmen and our sophomores, we want to begin those yes, we want to be, so if we were to explore that, we would be meeting with all the high school principals in the district to say, these are the students, and can we take really good care of them and could we potentially give them their first transfer choice?
Nice. Okay, and then a comment. My wife is actually up there on the salutatorian. She has been here, and then I have 2, so I'm second generation going through this. And I came from Phoenix, so I had an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, and it felt really cliquey because you get different kids from different maps and that sort of thing. And my kids, it's not cliquey here. Everyone seems to have a great time, and I'd echo her comments. People love to go to school here, so it's super cool that you have a K through 12. Just saying, coming from something that wasn't that.
Hello, my name is Amanda. I taught here for about 5 years. My husband is on the wall, Brandon LeBlanc, over there for FBLA. He also taught here for a few years also. I taught freshman English, honors freshman English, theater, Pilates, yoga. I did a breakdancing club. I did an anime club. I did any club you could possibly imagine in a haunted house for years with all the students from the ground up. And I would never have had that opportunity from the teaching side to be able to do so many great things with so many wonderful students without a school like this one. So I do think this school is very special. A K through 12 is a special school in and of itself. Because when I say don't swear out in the commons, there's your first grader, there's a kindergartner, can you help them get to the restroom? High school students respond to that. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we have today is responsibility and respect. And K-12 is the perfect way to illustrate how important it is to be a role model for the people who are below. And I think Vail is a place of choice. And giving parents the opportunity to choose where they want to send their kids is fantastic. I think it's phenomenal. And K-12 is a wonderful opportunity for those students who struggle, especially socially. A lot of those students on the wall had a lot of problems and planned on going to Vail early college from the beginning. So we're like, we're coming to Vail Academy, we know we're gonna be prepared for college and beyond. And the reason they felt confident in that is because they were with us here at Vail Academy and high school. I'm proud of the graduates. The people who walk across the stage here are exceptional people, not just academically, but the kindness and caring that each Vail Academy and high school student has here is phenomenal. You can walk on this campus, you can feel the family and community, which is just not the case on every single campus, even in the Vail School District. And it is a lighthouse district, it is an amazing district. However, giving people the choice to put their kids in a place that puts families above all. I mean, how many other schools take pictures of siblings together on the courtyard out there? How many can bring them all together and say, this is my family, and come together here? And I decided to teach here because of that family and that community that Vail Academy has. Now, every single trophy in that case represents a student here who gave it their all and who maybe, wasn't necessarily a top athlete on the other high schools, but guess what? They were the star in my shows. And they did phenomenal things here at Vail Academy that they can be proud of. And not every student gets that opportunity. And I know my husband did not choose Vail Academy. He's a alum from Vail Academy High School. He wanted to go to Cienega, and he didn't get in. He didn't get in. There was a lottery, and he didn't. But he spent some of his best years here and came back to teach because of the experiences he had at this small school. I definitely understand there's numbers involved, and you're going to make those decisions however you make them. But I feel that this school deserves to stay open. I feel that people should have a choice to come to K-12, and I think it is a valuable part of what makes the Vail School District the Vail School District.
My name is Patricia. I'm gonna try to speak slow because I had an accent and this is my second language. I'm Colombian. I'm being raised and born in a different country makes a huge difference when you come in here, especially when you had to raise a family that was born here and you had a husband who's American. It's a new thing for me, especially regarding the education. And one of the things that we had with my daughter to pick this school, and then I'm gonna say that this school has a difference, is my daughter is a very high academic achiever. And thinking about bringing her to women's really gave me a heartbeat because she's quiet, she's introverted, and she doesn't do good in big spaces. And here I am thinking that they're gonna bully her because she's always being smart and she's being called the nerd and stuff like that. And the same year that she started here, a girl took her life for being bullied and obedience. And I couldn't just not think about it. I could be the mother, losing my child because the school doesn't do much about bullying. And it's not speaking just because of that daughter. I have different friends that have kids in there and express the same thing that the lady that has spoken before. So I think this school made a difference because it gives the opportunity to kids to explore what they really like, and also be in a safe environment when they feel this small is friendly. You know, small towns are always better because it's a sense of community. That's what in my country I miss the most. We always help our neighbor, we are for each other, we celebrate. If you're happy, we're happy. And in feel like in this big country, everybody is so isolated. And in here, you can feel that. You can feel the sense of community and that love. My kids love the teacher. She's always talking about the plans they're doing. She was in the robotic group, and it was for me a pleasure to see that I feel that my kids safe. So I have 3 children. My second one is coming to 6th grade this year. And one of the things that was exciting for me is that they were gonna be together. Well, that's my point as a mother. I am also an accountant for 25 years, so I do understand how budget works. My question to the school is, I figured out about this school, first of all, because I had another mother that came to me. She was bringing her son in here. He is a very good student as well. And then I did my research, because I'm kind of a nerdy person, so as a nerd I need to research. So I found out not only the grades that this school has, how important this school was in the district, is in how hard it was to get in, because the achievement the school has, right? But then I never got any advertising at her school about the middle school. I never heard any advertisement about the high school. So the company I'm working for right now, when I started 5 years ago, we had less than 100 employees. My coworker that's been working there a little longer, they have 10 employees. We have 400 employees right now. We grow it. And you know how we did that? First of all, marketing, taking care of customers. This is a business too, I understand. And you're saying you're losing so much money. Why haven't you made so much money in advertising? Marketing for any business. The sales people make the business, and the marketing make the business.
Yes.
So if we are looking at this school as a business point, we have to work on that. And I ensure those parents like me, they feel that I want my kids to come here, because I had another that's in 3rd grade that's gonna end up being in high school here. Like she said, it's wonderful to have all your kids in one school. I went to one school. We don't have middle school in Colombia. We have elementary and then secondary school until you graduated. So one of the academics skills, and what I'm saying, they're investing so much in Malta, in Ciénaga, and all these big schools, with the programs they have, with the teachers, with everything. How much have they invested in us lately? I gotta say, my daughter told me a lot of things that happens in here. One of the things that made her very sad is that you guys put in a closet all the trophies.
Yes.
What is the pride of the school?
All gone.
You know, my company has all our trophies in the office because we're proud of what we are. We want to tell people this is the best school and why you need to have your kids in here. And that's what I'm going to make people who want to know here and stay here. You let me go other programs, that's going to work. And I can swear on that because, as I say, I've been 25 years in the business, in accounting. I work in multinational companies and small companies. And the only ones that success are the ones that work for it. Not the ones that sit down and start to put everything in the closet because we're gonna close down. We can do that. Because it's my kids' future. So I come from a country that doesn't have that many opportunities. You guys had all the opportunities in the world. I didn't have free education. I had to work really hard to get scholarships. And to come in here, it was hard for me. And I'm so proud that my kids got to be in a country when they have free education and when they have the opportunities that they had in this school. My kid was 11 years old and was in a robotics club. For her, it was the coolest things in the world because she is overachievement and she likes to experience things. I want other kids to have that opportunity. And unfortunately, for what I hear from all my friends, because I am one of those moms that really are into my kids' life, is that they don't have that in other high schools. Okay? And I try to be respectful and sorry, it's just because my accent, sometimes I try to speak a little louder. But again, I feel like we really need to invest in make it better instead of thinking how are we gonna close it down. Because that's what happened. We found investors and we start to work hard in the marketing. But what changed first was the mentality of all the people that works in the company. So there is not so much turnover. Because if you don't have identity, you don't love what you want. My country has a lot of problems, but one of the great things that they teach us in school is to be proud of who we are and where we come from. And that's what these kids in here have. And I think that it's very worth it to work for it. Thank you.
Kathy Gately, and my children's names show up on that wall 5 different times. I just attended my 5th degree graduation at Arizona State University between my 2 children. Both my children achieved bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, with the lowest GPA being a 3.8. My daughter is in engineering. The reason why my children were successful, and they both show up as valedictorians on the wall, is because they came to Vail Academy in its inaugural year, 2nd grade and 5th grade. They were able to take middle school and high school math classes. When my daughter was in 6th grade, she was in middle school math. By the time she was in 8th grade, she was in a math class in the 8th grade with high school students. My son's SEP was in teaching. He was able to teach in the 2nd grade class part of his SEP. He was able to do a middle school class as an SEP. He's now a teacher in Phoenix and has been for 5 years. And his successes and my daughter's successes were because it was a K-12 school. They got to see how elementary school children behaved. They were able to behave as middle school students. They had exposure to high school students. When they were in high school, they got to go back down to the lower levels and help students in those grades. And so I think maybe we need to look at the first year of the school. We had double 6th grades. We were only supposed to have 1. We had double 6th grades because so many kids wanted to come here for 6th grade. So maybe we need to look back at why are all those people wanting to bring their kids here as middle schoolers? What do those middle school parents want by bringing their kids here? And what can we do to move that forward to keep them here through the high school? Do they realize when their kids come in middle school, they can have those high school exposures, those high school classes? One of my daughter's friends, by the time he was in 9th grade, he'd already had chemistry and physics, right? Because there were high school teachers here when he was in middle school to teach him those subjects. So I think maybe to approach the issue of high school numbers is to look at why so many people are bringing their middle schoolers here and how we can make it.
So I'm not really sure how all the budgeting and stuff works, but is there going to be money for another high school, or are we going to overload these people into a high school system that's already pretty full? Another thing is what's going to happen to the teachers. If you guys close down the high school here, it sounds like we're going to be losing some jobs. Is there any thought process on if they're going to be placed, how you're going to go about that? I'm sure the union would have something to say. This class sizes is another big reason that my family decided to pick this school. My kids if they get the attention that they deserve in the class sizes here, and I don't feel they've ever gotten that in the other schools that they've been to because of how big everything gets. So I guess, I'm just really curious about what the actual future concept is here. This seems like a great place, but I have seen zero investment. There's other schools that have programs like JTED that get kids ready for work right out of school. I've seen nothing. I've never even seen you guys hardly mention anything about building the high school up here. So where does that actually fall for you guys? Is that actually any kind of a concern that it sounds like a foregone conclusion you guys want to stop the high school here? Everything that you said so far, there's keywords in there that sound like this is the decision being made. You're basically just here to hear what we have to say, but you're gonna do it anyway. So. It feels a little disrespectful that we weren't even notified that you guys wanted to put together a group to think about this.
Yes.
Yes.
As a concerned parent, I don't even feel like we're being involved. You guys have honestly backdoored a lot of things on this, which is very disrespectful. So what are your plans for this? What's the plans for the teachers, the kids? Are we building more schools? Like, what's gonna happen?
Thank you, good questions. Let me I'll try and remember all of them. The first one, I want to hammer a spike in the ground on this. No decisions have been made. None. Zero. There is no preconceived determination or notion around where we're going in regard to Vail Academy and high school. The group has gotten together to examine the data and look, and based on those things, they made a recommendation to explore something. The next step is doing this, is gathering input. We're listening, we're here, I'm hearing you. If it was a foregone conclusion, we wouldn't be doing this. Okay, so hammer that in the ground, all right? That's hammered down thing number one. Number two, we need to figure out and invite you into the process, and this is the time to do that. A year away from when any change would occur. We're not coming to you 2 months from change being made. We're coming to you over a year from any suggestions being made to say, what are we going to do? What should we be doing? What can we be doing? And there's been some great suggestions here this evening about programming for high school. We need to have that conversation. And that conversation needs to be something where we all listen together, we seek common ground, and we find the best solution to move forward. So that, I'm not even talking about the K-8 side, I'm strictly talking about what are we doing for 100 to 150 high school students moving forward in a concept in the school district, okay? So that's the second thing I want to clearly state. The third thing, I have been here for 31 years, and through ups and downs and budget contractions and all those other things. The only time in my career where I can remember a teacher not having a job was for the following school year was when we lost an override election, and after attrition, one PE teacher, we had to say, we don't have a position for you. That was it. So I can state with full confidence that teachers in good standing will have great places to go, wherever that is, if that is remaining here or if that is remaining somewhere else, if that is helping us imagine what should be better. And again, we're listening, that's why we're doing this, some great suggestions. I can't agree more strongly that Vail Academy and high school needs an identity, something that we cast forward and makes it unique. I think that has dulled over the last several years, bluntly, and we need to sharpen that and understand what that is, whatever it is. But I will tell you, there will not be a contraction where teachers lose positions. Period. The third thing is, as far as growth goes for high school, we watch growth. We've done our last bond that we passed in 2018, which helps build facilities. When we qualify for space through a formula that the state puts forward, we can build new space. When we needed new space for high school level, we passed that bond and we expanded space at Micah Mountain High School, we built Micah Mountain High School. That same bond doubled the size of the elementary school at Vail Academy and high school. So the notion that we haven't invested on this campus is also, I just want to emphasize that we have been investing on this campus and reinvesting here. And this is a incredibly important piece of the Vail puzzle of what we offer families, and we want, the board wants, Diane wants that same thing to continue. It's just, what does it look like? And if you are on something that isn't sustainable, what is not prudent is to put our head in the sand and not address that. And we're not doing that. And we're not doing preconceived determinations. Trust me, I would not be standing here if that was the case at all. I hear you, we hear you on what those things are. So I understand, getting back to some of the emotion that I understand the emotion around that. My kid was in 5th grade with her kid at this school. And I know him, and I remember when he wanted to go to teaching, and my only regret is that Daniel's teaching in Phoenix and not here. I didn't mention that at the top. My own children have been at this school. I think I'm the only person that's taught here and had my own children at this school. So if you think that I don't care about it, or we don't care about it as a school district, you can just, I'll just leave it there. That's not true, okay? And, but doing something that isn't sustainable and needs to be sharpened and improved, that is also not prudent. And that's what we're doing. That is why we're going through this process. That's why it's going to take at least 1.5 years to be able to do that. We're not rushing something. We're listening. And I think the next step, frankly, is what does the high school component of this look like? What is the necessary thing for a group of high school kids who are choosing something other than a large comprehensive high school? That's the next step. Did I answer all of them? Okay.
You can answer mine. Students say what you guys doing to make the school to be more knowing in the district, so parents want to enroll their children in this.
Why is no recruitment?
No marketing.
There was zero recruitment this
You
year.
know that.
No signs anywhere.
So I'll say two things. Two things. One, if you're an 8th grade parent in the Vail School District, you get a lot of material about Vail Academy and high school, as you do as you do the other 4 options. You get the information about it. We do that through the high school choice process. 2, I will concede that is probably something that we need to improve and work on. But I will also tell you that we're not going to market our way out of this. I mean, it's not the only thing that needs to happen. We've got to have a vision of where we're going to go and then market to that. I think the part of the issue is that the vision of what Vail Academy and high school has gotten fuzzy, and we need to sharpen what that is and market to that. Our kids graduated in 2018. Daniel stayed here. My daughter chose to go to a different high school. She got all the marketing she wanted in my house. I mean, we talked to her about those things. Kids are going to choose where they want to go. We need to what has happened fundamentally. Yes, we can market better. Hear me say that. We can market better. We can market better. But fundamentally, what has also happened, and the biggest thing, is there are more choice options for parents in the Vail School District to where they want to send their high school kids. We've added programming. We've diversified what that looks like at the same time that we need to sharpen what happens here. That's a foundational issue. That is the problem I hope we collectively solve.
Okay.
Have you guys taken into consideration that many families, they make sure that they put their kids in Vail Academy because it is K through 12? So if you do go to K through 8, then families like my family, where I've had 3 high school kids graduate from here, I have one that's in middle school now. That doesn't guarantee that you guys are going to have enough elementary and middle schoolers. So I don't know if you've taken that into consideration.
Again, this is early stages. We haven't looked too much into that data. If there was a high school and the high schooler, if we were to explore it, how many of those could affect the younger grades? We haven't explored that.
Okay. Well, the problem is this school is unique as far as, I had 3 high school kids that had problems at larger schools. When they came here, everybody knows everyone. You're talking about your kid graduated in 2018. I found it interesting that you guys only put numbers up from 2021 and didn't go back like 10 years, like would be better numbers to look at, because when I looked it up, as far as the numbers, it's never been a big high school. You know what I mean? It's never been a big high school. It's never, the graduating classes are like in the 30s. You know what I mean? And this is in 2016 when my first one graduated. So I don't understand why, yes, I understand there's budget, that has to be taken into account. But, I mean, there's no other school like this. And there's children that they don't have those teacher-student relationships at the larger high schools. There's just so many things that you can't, if you guys take this away, it's never coming back. So you can't just decide to take it away. I don't know who the 18 people voted were, 17-1. But if you take it away, it's never gonna come back. I know that, everybody knows that here. It's not gonna come back. Okay, so this is a big decision and you can't come back from it.
We agree with you, 1,000% agree with you, and that's why we're being thoughtful about it. I can't.
From day one, I've asked Diane, we need to fully explore what the K-12 model looks like, because if it goes away, it doesn't come back. I know we're very, very cognizant of that.
Right, so instead of talking about closing down the 9 through 12, why aren't you guys focusing, we should be having a meeting on what can we do to make 9 through 12 stay. Not what are we gonna do when
That is the exact next step. That's what I'm saying, that is the exact next step. I think what has been done so far is recognizing the health of the K-8 side and expansion of some of that programming, but we've got to decide what is viable at the high school level. And then we have to decide, does that fit in a K-12 school? Does that continue to be viable in a K-12 school? And if not, why not? And where do those kids go? That is, we are not gonna, we're not gonna fix that tonight here.
Well, I know the majority of the people here are here to fight for keeping K-12. So if you guys can consider that and do whatever you can to keep it, that's what everybody wants.
I promise you that we will engage parents in that discussion about what high school looks like. And I will also tell you, I'm not gonna, I'll be plain, we'll make a good decision, and that decision may or may not meet everybody's expectation. I've done this a long time, I've never made a decision where 100% of the people are happy, but it's gotta make sense. And that's what we have to do. And so we're at that point where this is the next step in the process in mid-May.
I'm an 8th grader here. I've been at this school since I was a kindergartner. I have so many memories with this school. I personally believe that getting rid of the high school is just a disgrace to what this school has done. I mean, I remember being a first grader, having my senior cousin come in and read stories to me. Nowhere else does that happen but Vail Academy High School. Right? I mean, this school, you can go from year 1 to year 13. You go all 13 in one school, knowing everyone. I guarantee you, I could name 80% of the people in this room. Right? My question, I have one big question. My one big question is, how many high school parents were on this council that voted? Who made the decision, right? How many parents of high school students were here deciding what they wanted to do with our high school? One more thing I'd like to add before I close. I actually know Mrs. Jackson's son. Mrs. Jackson over there, Jason. I remember, this story, man. He was coming, and it was one of the first robotics meetings we had. And he was a 7th grader, right? He's new to our school, so at the beginning of the year, and he comes in, and we're just having our first meeting. We're getting introduced to everything, and at one point, he goes to the bathroom, and Mrs. Whiteley, right here, one of the great coaches, mentors on the robotics team, she asks me, hey, do you know what happened to Jason? Could you go check on him? And I go to the bathroom, because that's where Jason said he would be. And Jason's in there, and he's very broke down, right? He's in here, and he's just sad. And I ask him, I'm like, Jason, are you okay? He's like, I don't belong here. I'm like, yes, you do. everyone belongs at Vail Academy. That's what you gotta do, right? You have to welcome everyone into this K-12 school, because that's what this school is meant to be. Everyone is welcome. That's the motto for all of Vail. But at Vail Academy, that's it. Everyone really is welcome. And I'm talking to Jason, and he comes back, and I don't think I've ever seen someone more brighter, more positive, more smart. And this year, I've seen him, he's so positive about everything, right? He is a 7th grader taking high school math, like his mom said, and he is just one of the greatest people I think I know at this school.
Thank you. I just want to thank every teacher in here who's been here for so long as I know. I know every teacher in here, and they are great, every single one of them. And my teacher, my math teacher, Mrs. Ritter, she's one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. She said one day, she said, man, you guys are just like a family. Everything you do, you all know each other. It's almost like you guys are all cousins. And she's right. I can name everyone in my grade. I can name everyone 3 grades up, 3 grades down. I know some kids in here who I've known since I was 5 years old. And I feel like taking away the opportunity is like ripping away opportunity just for these students to go to high school here. So that's my thing.
I think he had asked a question about the parents, so I'll let you answer that question first.
Thank you.
So our focus group committee consisted of 1 elementary teacher, 2 middle school teachers, we had 5 high school teachers, and then we had 4 parents, and those 4 parents, we had 1 high school parent, 2 K-8, and then an elementary parent serving on that, as well as admin, and I believe that's all 18.
Can I just, the intent of that group was to be not be summative of the experience. So I can't stress that enough. It was to look at what's there. I hear you, we see you about what this is. That's the next step in this process. When you have 4 parents there, 1 elementary, 2 middle, and a high school, that's representative, but it's not summative, okay? And that's why we're doing this.
Thanks. My name is Joseph. I'm here to go on a 15-minute diatribe about all the things that I disagree with. No, just kidding. I won't do that. 2 for 15 minutes. I may do it for 2 or 3, but I do have some questions. First, though, I do want to thank all the parents and teachers that have been involved, or brave, or courageous in trying to express their opinions over the past few weeks or month. I know that for some folks that probably took a lot of exposing themselves, so thank you for the folks who are actively involved to lead up to this town hall that may not have happened if we hadn't done that, so thank you. I'm a little bit frustrated at some of the rhetoric that we're still using here tonight, and John, I'm grateful that you're here. I respect and understand the role that you're in and your passion for this school, and I don't envy your position as a leader, so I appreciate that you're involved this evening. But we keep saying things like it's not a done deal or a decision hasn't been made. But then, in contrast to that, I had discussion with Ms. Vargo with respect to different aspects of these decisions. We keep using the term, the wheels are already in motion. And John, we had a discussion just a little over a week ago, and you said something to the effect of, we should have done something like this years ago. So I'm having a really hard time feeling like there's not some premeditation to these decisions, and I'm really interested to know, maybe some of the background of when these discussions started happening. I also feel like over the past year, a lot of things that precipitate the inevitable outcome of getting rid of the high school have been started, right? We've changed the start time dramatically. There's bus changes that are significant to go with that. Teachers have been fired, forced out, told to look for work elsewhere, coming out of decisions. So we're actively destroying the high school community, while on the other hand, we're speaking out of the other side of our mouth saying, yeah, it's not done, it's not really gonna happen, but we're barreling full speed down towards this trajectory of one inevitable outcome. And all of those things led up to, this veiled focus group, and I'm not gonna argue about the semantics of the legalities of whether or not that was done appropriately or not. But I think we can all agree, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. And so I don't understand why, leading up to that eventual decision that was made by the focus group, why there wasn't more collaborative community involvement in the decision making. Instead, I was told actively multiple times that I couldn't go to the focus group, there weren't any more sessions scheduled. I tried to get information about the site council times. I was told I wasn't a site council member, so why am I asking about going to a site council meeting? And these are things that actively discourage parents, and I would say I'm a more actively involved parent. So for anyone else who's not as actively seeking information, I can't imagine that most folks had any inkling of what was going on until maybe a week ago. And even with the meeting invite that went out for this town hall, there was no information about we might get rid of the high school. It was come talk about the community, right? So I get the messaging you're trying to send politically, but I think everyone understands that what you're saying politically isn't lining up with the actions that have happened. So with all that said, I do have a couple questions, and I want to use, I think one of the students, the sophomore woman who spoke much more emotionally intelligently than I probably will, so thank you very much, did hit on what I think is what I want to focus on, which is more of the solution, right? She mentioned focusing on, finding what I would call, from like an economic standpoint, like our competitive advantage, right? If you have a log, some person might be able to make 10 chairs from that log, and one person might be able to make 1 chair from that log. What is VAHS Academy and high schools, competitive advantage, ability to make 10 chairs from however many budget you give them versus the 1 log that some other high school might be able to make, right? I think that that's what we've squandered over the past year. Instead of focusing on finding that competitive advantage, we focused on ways that basically, like I said, barrel down that one kind of track like outcome and rapidly towards that kind of giving up on what could be a focus on competitive advantage. So I have 4 brief questions. I'm not looking for a ton of back and forth on it, and then I'll let some other folks speak. But my first question is, if the commons discussion, communication of the groups that I've been involved in, other parents and teachers have been involved in over the past few weeks, hadn't occurred, that I feel like pretty much led to this town hall, when were we planning on telling the community that this decision, I get that you're going to tell me that it's not a decision, but that the recommended outcome was going to occur?
So let me be really clear on a couple of things. One, when you and I had a conversation at the boardroom last year, and I said the conversation should have happened several years ago, what I meant very clearly about that is what is the purpose and direction of Vail Academy and High School. That focus needs to happen. And I'll be blunt, that was conversations that were had that didn't happen.
You mean over the past
5 years?
Decades or so?
Yes.
Okay.
And we needed to do that. And we are at that place now where we're having those conversations. So there is no predetermined outcome other than that. It is a time to talk about what is the future of Vail Academy and High School. We've got to have that conversation. To your point about when, I think your specific question was, when were you going to be notified? Now. This is the time to go from bringing from a small group to a larger group, gathering input. What are we missing? What should we know that we don't know? That's now. That is right now. And that's why we're doing this. We have conversations, if not pretty close to weekly, on these things about the direction and what this looks like. And I can tell you not once in any of those conversations has it been focused on a K-8, forget the high school, ever. My leading comment has always been, we have to consider what a K-12 is. Somebody else spoke to that, because if we don't do that first, and we give that up, we'll never get it back. And it is a wonderful, unique thing. Let's talk about what that looks like. When is the conversation now? Why wasn't it specifically on a flyer, come to the meeting to get rid of the Vail High School? Because we're not doing that. We're talking about what's next for the high school. We have to address declining interest and enrollment in the high school. That's the underlying issue. And of the entirety of it. And I think the underlying issue related to that is two things: the vision for the school and expanded choice for high school options.
All right, and then my next question is, what is the plan for next year to actively and immediately, I think at the start of the year, to engage the community in a similar fashion to create continued engagement, communication, involvement, so that we don't, I'm worried that we're gonna roll into the start of the school year and then, we won't have momentum to, and we're running out of time to develop a competitive advantage and focus on what it might take to actually save and revitalize the high school to fix exactly what, I'm aligned on with you, right? There's an underlying enrollment problem which drives a funding gap. And so if we can fix that and root cause in an alternative way, other than just getting rid of it, what's the plan to try to facilitate that next year quickly?
The next step after this meeting is we're gonna get together and talk about how we're creating a focus group to talk about what we need to do for high school, families and children that choose Vail High School. That's the next step. That's the exact next step.
Okay, and we would have that be public to the community. And
yeah, it can.
I know you can have unlimited.
Yeah, I mean, we will have representatives of people who, if you're in this room and you're interested, you're welcome to do that. We've got to drive at solutions, though. It's not up there. I promise you, I'm doing my absolute best to listen to understand, and we've heard you in a way that is important to hear what you have to say. If you come to that process, you have to also listen to understand about what might change relative to that and what are realistic options about what that means. That doesn't mean foregone conclusions on anything. We just have to drive at solutions around how are we addressing providing high quality programming for a group of families and children who don't otherwise want to choose one of our other options. And where does that happen? I think we'd all be delighted if that could happen here. That would be the best solution. But we also need to be realistic that might not be the thing if there is twice or 3 times the interest in other grade levels and we can't increase the interest at the high school. It would be disingenuous of me to stand here and tell you that both of those options are not possible. And I think what people are hearing is only one of those options is possible. And I can't state it strongly enough. That is just false. That is false. We need to explore them both. All right. And the other thing I want to dispel, because you mentioned it, and I've heard it, there hasn't been any staff that have been fired from the school, certainly not related to anything here. If there's anybody that's, period, bottom line. That hasn't happened. You can go through and you can look at board minutes, you can look at anything. That simply is a false statement. And I need to pound that in the ground. And that's not the case. And so we need to deal with realities of what's here and not harmful things that set us back. We need to come to the table and look at solutions and where we're going, okay?
No, I appreciate that. My last question, and I will say, I'm not privy to all the HR interrelated, but I will say there are staff that were here that are not here. So how that happened, I don't know, but so maybe I'm speculating a bit on exactly the circumstances, but I think that's apparent to the folks that are in the community. So my last question is just, and I'm not trying to get you on something here, I'm just trying to understand. Because you had said earlier today, you said, maybe we have a year to facilitate decision making, right? And then I think earlier we had some informal discussion, we were saying, maybe the end of the first quarter, what is really the drop dead decision date where it's like a go, no go, like we have to make a decision, or we get an extra year, right, to make a decision, because I'm a little, so just trying to understand, I'm not trying to like, you know, what does that timeline look
So
like?
I think if backing up from where we need to be, we need, if there are changes here that impact high school, we would need to be able to communicate what those things are, and we don't have to have all the details worked out, but with a reasonable assurance that the details can be worked out before starting the school in the following July. But we would need to be able to communicate those changes probably sometime in November to families, because that's when we start the eighth grade choice process. So I think that is the kind of, if you look at it like a funnel, that's the point of the funnel time period for this year.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. That's it.
I'm a freshman at this school. I just came here this year, but I came to this school because it was a small school, and I've been going to medium schools or larger schools my life, and I felt welcomed here since the day I came, because I had friends who would always bring me down and who would never bring me up. And being at this school, it made me realize I actually matter to more people than I did with my old friends at my old school. I feel more seen here than I ever did at some other schools, because the teachers actually put effort into talking to students more here. And with the smaller classes, it helps us get more one-on-one time so we can continue to grow. I feel like I've been doing better with my academic grades ever since I came to this school. And with all this process and hearing that we might have to find a new school soon, it feels like we're being pushed out of a safe space that we may feel like we're being in.
Haley, I want to talk to you, and maybe Mrs. Vargo does too. You do matter, and we care about you greatly, and I am so grateful that you are seen here. And whatever happens next, I want to make sure that you continue to be seen, and whatever that looks like. That drives us.
Hi, I'm Michelle Thanody. I have 3 kids. One graduated in 2025, went to ASU, was on the dean's list, and got a phone call from her saying, "Mom, now I understand why you put me at Vail Academy." It was like she opened up those wings and she was ready to go. There's the everyday, "Mom, I can't do it," but she did. I have a sophomore now. All 3 of my children are student athletes. And I want to make sure you understand, in my household, you're a student first. My kids cannot play any sport if they don't have a 3.8. I know the district is like a 2.5, but not in our household. You're an athlete second. Again, one of the main reasons we came to Vail Academy. Luckily, we get to play for Micah, which gives them an opportunity. And I think that if we concentrate on some of those activities that we share with Micah's campus, I think a lot more high school students would not be afraid to come to Vail Academy and think they have to miss homecoming games, sports activities, business activities. I think that's something that we need to focus on. Now, moving forward, I have a sophomore next year who's going to be a junior. You're telling me, one, his senior year, which is supposed to be your best year in high school, may not be here for him. He likes the opportunity that when he comes to Vail Academy, he's a student only. In his mind, all he has to do is worry about being a student here. When he goes to Micah and play, there's where his athlete, his second person comes out. Now, my daughter did the same thing, all 4 years. We did do the open enrollment. We're out of Vail School District, so we knew nothing of Vail Academy, nothing. So when my daughter came here in high school, for me, it was perfect. I grew up in a small town. Sahuarita was small then anyway. We knew everybody and anybody. I love that she came and her graduating class was 39. She had more one-on-one time than any student that when she was at TUSD. We left TUSD because bullying, teachers were just pushing through students. The principal did not care that my kid was getting pushed around. And I'm gonna go as a senior. Where's my freshman gonna go? Do I even bother having my freshman come this year only to disrupt her education to move to Micah? We were told when my daughter was a sophomore, Micah wouldn't be done building for another 8 years because of the funding. So even when you decide these 40-some kids that are seniors gonna be pushed in different classrooms, I mean, sorry, I'm a little emotional. It is very frustrating not knowing what your children's future is when you have been putting this path in front of them for success because their sister was able to do it. So my question is, one, what does come of those student athletes that work just as hard, if not harder, than some of the regular students because they have to keep up their grade point average? Two, why not celebrate our students who do something at Micah? We have the girls' state tournament, our Micah girls. Our community isn't just Vail Academy, it's a whole, it's Vail. And if we can support our students from Vail Academy and encourage them to do Micah activities, why would we not push them and celebrate them here? Because I can tell you that didn't happen with my kiddos. And I'm not saying they need to be shown praise, but if you announce, hey, look at what our students are doing. They are going and being a part of the Vail community at Micah. And now we are in the state championship for the first time in the 6 years that Micah's been open.
Thank you. Watching the line grow behind you still, and we've been here for almost an hour and 45 minutes. We'll continue to be here. I'm not saying that. I'm just, as we do this, if you have new information you want us to know or share, please do that. But if it's a repeat of something that somebody else has already said, if you could maybe gloss over that, that would be helpful. If there is a change, we would absolutely make sure that there's eligibility considerations for those people, for the high school students, and where they would need to go to continue their eligibility. We would not leave somebody who wanted to continue to participate in athletics not have the ability to do that. That's just, we wouldn't do that. So no change, no change. If there is a change, if you have an athlete at Micah Mountain, we will do everything within our power to make sure that they stay there. That would not be a fair thing for that child.
So even as a parent from outside the district, you are saying no matter what, these students here at Vail Academy will be eligible to move either to Micah, Cienega. I mean, what happens if
well, and I'm not globally, again, what's challenging about this is you're asking me questions that are what-if questions, and when I answer the what-if questions, it sounds like that's a done deal. So I'm not saying that, but to your specific question, if there is a decision to do something different with high school and not do it here, and children are involved with athletics, we will make sure that they remain eligible wherever they go. We've done that. I can give you an example. When Empire wasn't able to continue with
athletics in association with Andrada. We did not punish those children, those students who were associated at Andrada and participating at Empire. We continued, we grandfathered that in until they weren't anymore. So that is a historical pattern for a change that could possibly happen here.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Pam. I've had, excuse my emotions, because I'm really all over the place right now. I have 4 girls that attend the school. All of them on this wall. I have a valedictorian, salutatorian, FBLA, all the sports, all the great stuff. And the reason why they came to is because this school is a school of world changers. My girls right now, they have masters. I have a doctor. One is a professor in Phoenix. The other is teaching at sports, manager in sports at GCU because they did sports here at Vail Academy. I have one that has a master's and she's doing film because she was a part of Amanda's drama team. I have one that is a teacher in the Vail School District because the school taught her so well and we believe in giving back. And then when we left Vail Academy, which physically left, never left here spiritually or emotionally, as you can see, but when we left Vail Academy, because the school was so great, I encouraged other families to come. So even though our family is not here, we're still here because we encourage other families to come. And so my emotions are running because I know, you were talking about the numbers. I was a part of site council, and so I understand the numbers and all those great things. But I also heard, which made me kind of leap up, was about clubs that are no longer here. And we're wondering why the kids are not here because those clubs are not here. My kids, they were in a championship game for basketball. Apparently that's no longer here. I know they say FBLA is coming back and all those different things. And so if you're asking what can gain or bring the high school students back from being a parent who was well engaged in this school and still kind of engaged in the background or whatever the case may be, you have to bring back this sports. I mean, you have to bring back the clubs. You have to bring back the things that engage the kids. The young lady who was just talking another kid for me, she was saying how her daughter plays at Micah Mountain. When my kids was here, they played at Vail Academy, And so I know it's like, oh, we're talking about budget, I'm trying to say my name because I said my daughter's a teacher in the Vail Academy, Vail School District. So I'm trying to say my last name, but I know you're talking about budgets and stuff like that, but you do have people, if like the parents said, if we were to come together with the community and say, hey, you guys talked about bringing these things back, how can you assist? Like, okay, we're talking about clubs, can you assist with that? You have a lot of people that have a heart for the school, and their heart is just that big that they will come back and assist to bring the school back to where it used to be.
Pam, I want to two things. One, this goes for you, and this goes for many of all the parents with alumni here, or who have children who are alumni. Parenting matters, and we do what it's evident what happens here, but when we see what happens with your children beyond that, you all are doing something right. So we want to keep that going, absolutely. So I know, again, that's why I started my comments this evening this way. There are legacy families here. There are legacy things about this school. I understand that. I have a deep understanding of what that looks like and feels like, and great things. I know they're not so young anymore. Adults, mostly, at least mine, who are doing great things, who came out of this school. I know them by name. I know their families. I know who they are, and so I understand the emotion that wraps around that. That's why we need to be thoughtful and careful and have these conversations and plan. And if we make missteps, we back up, we regroup, and we move forward again. But we must address the issues that are in front of us, and we have to do that honestly, and we have to do that openly. And one of the reasons that we have fewer clubs and other things and activities is because enrollment is down, and there aren't enough people to continue to do that. And that starts a downward spiral that's really difficult to pull out. And so we're cognizant of that. To again, we can buffer that for a little bit of time if it's moving in the right direction, if it starts moving back in the right direction. But we can't. The sustainability of what currently exists is not sustainable, and that's why we're having these conversations.
So I'm a great grandma, but I bring my kids to grandkids school every day, and we call it Cheers because everybody knows their name. And some of you may know the reference to Cheers, some of you may not. Anyway, yes, Norm. I have a Norm, one grandchild son. But anyway, everybody knows their name. My other grandson went to Mesquite, and nobody knew his name but his current teacher. I'll be very honest. I walked him to class too. We came here because both children have some special needs, and their intellectual needs are being met, but their emotional needs were not being met, and they are being met here. And I think I think we really need to look at that. And then one more thing, really quick. We talked to our neighbors, and we told them we praised the school. They moved here from Lake Havasu. They came to register their children here. They were able to get their high school boy in, but not their junior high boy. But they still want him to go to the high school boy until another neighbor told them there wasn't going to be no high school in the year. And they not only are meeting today at Cienega to get him there, but they told other people in the neighborhood. So because this is going on, our freshman enrollment will probably be low, because I'm telling you, I would not bring my freshman here with the thought that he wasn't going to be here sophomore, junior, or senior year. He might as well bite the bullet as a freshman and go on to a school that'll take him. So I think November is way too late. I think it needs to happen, that there's going to be a school. I am sorry, and anyway, it worries me a lot because I have a 7th grader and a 1st grader. And that's the other reason we came here, we want them both in the same school. But I'll be quiet this long time. But anyway, I'm concerned about the rumors that are going around.
Yeah, that's true. And just to address the rumor, how many freshmen are signed up? 45? So out of the 105 that are signed up, 45 of those are freshmen for next year. So again, just want to deal with facts and the realities of things, and your point is well taken. Why would you enroll your kid here in a freshman year if you're considering it? But the crux of the issue is almost, what, 40, how much is that, Linda, percentage-wise? 40-some% or more, 45% of the in total enrollment is freshmen. That's not the issue. It is sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And how are we doing that? So I want to put back I want to keep the issue, and then we need to come together to address that and figure out a good plan. Yeah.
First off, apologies, I did not think I would be speaking today, but hello. My name is Michaela Milam. I am a freshman here. I have been here since 6th grade, and I honestly love the school. I feel like the teachers help the students in their classes and the academics are great. The problem I have, and the reason I am trying to leave this school currently, is because of the extracurriculars and the loss of classes. Not academic classes like our 4 core classes. I'm talking about our classes. For some of you who don't know, here we used to have photography, Star Wars, desert knowledge and survival. And then we also had other classes like that. We have our reading mentors class. Now, we don't have any of that. From what I know, we have art, music, and a few others. But with all of that, with those classes that we used to have, it gave the students a chance to find more people who enjoyed the other things that they loved. Now, since we don't have that, we still are a community here. I don't feel like we're as strong as we used to be.
So my question is, what are you all going to do about not just the activities, but the classes we used to have here?
So to answer your question, going back to what John was saying earlier is that the number of students equals the number of staffing and the number of teachers. And so when you have limited number of students in high school, then that limits the number of teachers and programs. For example, currently we have 2 CTE classes. We have Empower Ed and we have business. And because of the drop in enrollment, we aren't able to fund the other program. So we can only have 1 business CTE class for next school year because of the decline in student enrollment at the high school level.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I have 3 students at Vail Academy High School. They range from currently 5th grade through 11th grade. So I do have a student who will be a senior here next year. I have a 9th grader, or who would be a 9th grader next year, who made the decision to leave the school primarily because of the rumors that he was hearing. I've been hearing my boys come home regularly for the entire school year telling me there's not going to be a high school next year. So they were under the impression that it was going to close down for next year, that my senior was not going to have the opportunity to graduate from the school next year. And I've been trying to reassure them all year. I've been trying to tell them, no, that's not going to happen. They're not going to close the school next year. And I was trying to reassure them that their school wasn't going to go away. And obviously that's not something that I can reassure them about, but I didn't have any knowledge of any of this. It was coming home to me as rumors from my kids. My kids were coming to school and hearing this, and coming home and telling me that their school's going away. So that is very likely to have driven a fair amount of the attrition this year, at all levels, not just your freshmen. But if the students are being told they're not going to have a school, then they're going to make the decision to go with the choice program and choose somewhere else to be. And yes, some of that's going to be driven by the options that are available at the other schools. And I do understand that with a lower budget, fewer staff, you can't offer as many programs. I get that. It's math, it's budget, it makes sense. And I'm looking at the 3 options that were recommended by the focus group, and I have to say, if we're thinking about things realistically, the first option on the board was to keep it K through 12, but reduce the high school programming. If you reduce the high school programming, you are closing down the high school. Because as soon as you reduce the high school programming, all of our high school students are absolutely going to make that choice to go to a different school. We cannot stay K through 12 by reducing the high school programming. And now you've only got 2 other options on the board. So if your focus group came forward with 3 options, and those are the options we're considering, do we have the opportunity here to bring other options? Are other options viable? Will you look at other options and consider those to be viable options?
And so district leadership and I have met to see, okay, what are the next steps? And so I think John was saying something to the effect of that we do need to meet again, right? We need to have a committee, but I think we need to be solution-based with all the things and all the budget numbers and all of those key pieces. But from what I've, in the data that I share with you, it is something that is urgent and that needs to happen, like John was saying, by November. Do you want to?
Yeah, there's always room for a new good idea. And if that new good idea is there and it makes sense, then we'll pursue that. That is absolutely on the table. Absolutely on the table. So it is not. Yeah, we're open. What?
Yes, you're bringing it. She asked you a yes or no question.
And I said if there's another good idea that gets on the table.
That's a very good idea and a very good point.
What? I didn't hear the idea. I heard. Would you consider?
Bring all those clubs back. Is that an option?
The short answer for next year is no, because we don't have the staffing, we don't have the enrollment to fund the additional positions.
Without that, but
It is a circle. That's exactly right. It's a spiral, and we've got to reverse the spiral.
so it's a no.
So I'm standing here in front of a very large community who've all stood up here and made very passionate pleas for a school that they love.
I agree.
Okay? Can we make it available to this community to help contribute to the school? You don't have the funding, you don't have the budget, I get it. You have very passionate parents.
Yeah. So let me just say this. Many of you have K-8 students that are here too. If we continue this model that we're on and add programming to the high school, in essence, we're taking resources away from the K-8 side. That's the way you do the budget. I mean, the budget isn't infinite, and we have to figure out how to do that. So whatever is viable moving forward needs to be something that at the high school level does one of two things. It meets the needs of a school that has between 100 and 150 kids and is staffed for that, or enrollment at the high school grows. Those are the two options. But and we can carry some of that for a short period of time, but we can't carry that in a sustainable way for a long period of time.
And you mentioned previously that this is a conversation that's long overdue. The trending
Yes.
has been down for multiple years. Because these conversations didn't happen, is there any opportunity for Grace to try to turn things around, to get this parents involved?
Sure. I think if we have a good path, let's talk about what that is, but it can't, and you're not saying this, I know no one here is saying that, but it can't be do the same thing. That's not viable. And so we have to do something.
Okay. No, I agree.
And if the something is a viable path, and we think that makes sense, and we can grow, one of two things is going to happen. We will either come to an understanding of how to provide rich programming that meets the needs of roughly 100 high school students to 130 some, which is who are interested in continuing here in this current situation, and who need to be seen, who need to be valued, who need to, all of these amazing, so true statements that have been made tonight. That either needs to happen, or we need to increase enrollment here. Those are the two paths.
Just as I step away from the microphone,
Yeah.
echo one more time what many of my fellow parents have said. There's nothing more heartwarming than walking onto this campus with my 10-year-old daughter and realizing she literally knows everybody. She walks up to everybody, she hugs everybody, she knows all their names. You don't get that anywhere else. So just to add that one more time, I know you've heard it a million times tonight, but the options I'm seeing are not going to protect that. So I would like to be part of providing additional options that would help protect that.
Thank you. We're it's 7 o'clock. We've been here for 2 hours, been answering questions for 2 hours. So I'm just gonna do this, and I see people still want to communicate, and I understand that. I'm gonna do 2 more questions for people, and then I'll talk to you about kind of what next steps are, all right? And then Diane and I will be around to listen, but we will, this is not the end of the conversation. I'm just, to be very blunt with you, I'm starting to get to the end of my energy level with a long day, and my ability to, I don't want to keep saying the same thing. Yes?
So, earlier tonight, you stated that administrative decisions are guided by trend data.
I'm sorry, guided by what?
Your administrative decisions are guided by trend data.
Okay.
With that in mind, can you share what the data shows regarding student enrollment changes this year, teacher turnover rates, and the reasons teachers have left? Specifically, how do those trends compare to prior years, and what conclusions has the district drawn from that data regarding the current school climate, leadership effectiveness at Vail Academy?
let me say a couple of things. I've been participating in Vail Academy for a long time, as I mentioned. Over the last 2 years, before Mrs. Vargo got here, we've turned over the entire middle school staff at least once. I know we've had turnover, that's true. We've also had turnover at the elementary level. Turnover happens every year. So anytime there's a new change in leadership, at any school, and we do this a lot, there's always some turnover. So that happens. I think the underlying thing, and I just want to address it real quick, is the viability of Ms. Vargo's leadership. Yeah. So let me tell you a couple of things, because I feel that in the air. Dennis Barger and I are friends. We've been friends for a long. I know him well. So he led the school incredibly well for a long period of time. We would all agree that there were some changes. The patterns, to your point about what was happening, needed to be addressed, and they just needed to be addressed. And I saw that when he decided to retire, and I said that to the faculty when I talked to Dennis about that, and I said that to the faculty when I announced my decision. Because of the situation that we're in, leadership at Vail Academy, the next principal that needed to be here could not be a rookie. Frankly, doing this is not easy. It's not something that you turn over to a rookie to do. You turn it over to a really accomplished, successful person. And I asked Mrs. Vargo to do that. I asked her to do that. She didn't approach me, I asked her. It's a K-12, so you could pick your grade band of what would matter, and somebody could criticize they didn't have that experience. No one has K-12 experience. Dennis didn't have K-12 experience. What I know is this: Mrs. Vargo for 10 years led a school impeccably. The parent surveys were off the charts. I saw her lead through really tough, challenging moments of time, and I saw her students perform at the highest level of our school district. Not second or third, the highest level of performance at our school district. And so I asked her to come here because this place is special and it deserves the attention of one of our most accomplished leaders. She led the school to be a National Blue Ribbon school. This year, just last Friday, we got the first scores back, third grade reading and writing and math scores. And if there's a third grade teacher in here, you deserve credit for this. But the largest jump in student performance in the Vail School District for third grade reading, I think we'd all agree that third grade reading proficiency matters and third grade math proficiency matters, was here at Vail Academy High School. Reversing a 3-year downward trend.
Hi, my name is Rich Dominic. Sorry, it's difficult, challenging for me because I started working here in 2018 as a girls basketball coach. That was the second semester this year. So in this fall of 2018, Dennis brought me on as a security. Every year since then, I had been put in, up until 3 years ago when I had to leave. Dennis had put me in a different position. I had many roles here. My final year was recess with Coach Rich. I had 2 elementary classes in the afternoon because, unfortunately, a PE teacher quit prior to the school year. My son regularly goes here. He's an 11th grader. He's one of the 6 students up there. He's been here since 4th grade. I brought him here with me because It was a family. You could feel it here. My questions are, who initiated that first meeting, right? Was it district or was it Miss Fargo? Hi, Miss Fargo, my name's Coach. We're just meeting, but I've been here on campus so many times this year, and this is the first time I'm actually like meeting her.
Wow.
And that's kind of sad to me, because I have young little ones come running up to me, and they're, give me hugs, right? And I would think that the person who runs the campus would say, who's that guy? Why are the kids so interested in him? Never once did she come up. I did the turkey trot. I was out there. I was the finish line guy, right? Never once did she come and say, hey, thanks for volunteering. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for volunteering,
Who initiated this, right? Was it her? I felt like it was being dismantled as a high school from the get-go this year. I walked into that office, and all the accomplishments of prior students, the colleges they went to, the acceptance letters, everything that was in there, the trophies, just taken out. Like the past didn't matter. When it did, kids went in there and said, Mom, what's that on the wall? Oh, that's a college. That's where you can go, son, or daughter, right? Well, what are those names up on the wall there? Oh, those are tests you're gonna be taking when you're in high school, and you better be ready for those, and this school will get you ready for it. So, yeah, where did this all initiate from? I understand it's been in the works, but you're making it sound as though somebody jumped the gun before the district set it in motion.
No, it was the conversation that we had at the very beginning of what needs to happen. And again, here's the things that need to happen. Clarity of vision needs to happen around what Vail Academy and High School is, and we have to address the issue that we're stable enrollment at the elementary, we have more families want to get in here at the middle school than we have space for, and we have declining interest in enrollment at the high school. Those were the charge that had been in place, frankly, and needed to be addressed, and the charge that I gave Mrs. Vargo. And that's what she started those conversations. And look,
I feel like this should have been the first step. And then we take it into the smaller steps. And work everybody into have a focus group here, have a focus group there. Not just say 17-1. There we go, folks.
And again, and thank you, Rich, I appreciate that. Those are recommendations to explore, not decisions that have been made. And if we make missteps, I acknowledge those. We can acknowledge that. But we're here today. That still none of that would have prevented us. All of this would have continued to occur because we need to engage, and we need to continue to engage and get information.
Well, Mr. Kruth, you understand had you done this earlier, you wouldn't be missing a graduation. You wouldn't be worried about the time. You'd be at the end of the school year just enjoying the school. Not trying to figure out the mess that's going to be with our rumors. Because that's it, it's just rumors.
Yeah.
Like you say, if nothing's final, it's just rumors. But those rumors are costing future enrollment.
Correct.
They're costing future dollar signs, because that's what is over kids' heads. My last question. What is the over enrollment this year at Micah Mountain?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, fairly significant.
Okay, so then why?
For freshmen, it's 50 this year. They're overpopulated by 50
Hey,
freshmen.
we're not.
Okay, sorry.
This is.
But no, I just.
Let me hold on. This is what happens when you start to get past the 2-hour mark. So I'm just hold on. I'll answer the question the best I know, and then this is the last question, and this is hold on, please. We've been trying to be really patient and want to continue this. Yeah, we'll stay around. We'll stay around. But there's after I answer this question, I'm going to make.
I want everybody to know the answer to this question, though.
Go ahead, sir.
I don't know the specifics of exactly how many were over enrolled, but we have a waiting list at Micah Mountain for sure.
Okay, so on that point, okay, she was talking about adding a third middle school because we're getting too many and having to turn people away. So what's the problem with turning people away from Micah Mountain and saying, hey, there's a great high school over here that you can go to get an education, get sports and activities going on at Micah Mountain, but we're not promoting it.
Okay, so I'll answer that, and then I'm gonna answer your question, and then we're done, okay? We don't tell parents where they have to go unless we absolutely have to, because we respect parent choice. So we're not gonna tell, if parents can get into Micah Mountain who wanna go there, and we have space and we can do that, we're gonna let them do that. We would not take children from Micah Mountain who don't wanna come to Vail High School and tell them you have to go here, because that would be a really bad thing for those families that chose it, that were forced here. And that would be a bad thing for the culture of this school. We don't do that. Parents, we honor where parents want to go, and parents are voting with their feet. That's the fundamental issue. That's the fundamental issue. So we have a significant interest in Micah Mountain High School, and we have, frankly, space at Cienega High School. Micah Mountain is new. It's the new shiny thing. When you look at performance across the board, in those two large comprehensive high schools, I can tell you they are virtually the same. One is slightly smaller than the other, but we're not going to force. We made changes. We created attendance boundaries this year for Micah Mountain and Cienega High School to address that issue. But we're not going to. We're here tonight to honor parents and listen to voices, and that's the exact reason why we wouldn't force people to go where they don't want to go, and exactly why we're going to sit with you and just together come up with a plan for what's best for the high school students that are here and the future high school students who are here who don't want to go to another large comprehensive high school. Last question.
So the question is, it's fairly simple. My daughter loves it here. However, she's been on the transfer portal for 3 years, just before freshman year. 3 attempts, she hasn't got in. And our placement coordinator in the district office is telling me that every school, she can't even get into Andrada because they're at capacity. Now, that being said, this change for the transportation boundaries came out with your letter in November of 2025. So as of next year, those students, when the buses no longer go to those boundary changes, will either have to transfer schools and or find their own transportation.
We're grandfathering them in for a year.
For the year, yes, but that year is almost over.
No, next year.
Exactly. The year, they have a year left, which will put my daughter junior year, which will be about the same time. If the school goes down and our schools have to transfer out, how are we going to accommodate all of that? When there apparently is rumor going around, and I'm saying rumor because I can't say it's justified or founded, that a contract has already been dealt with the other schools to accommodate our lack of high school children.
I'm not
Into
sure.
the other schools. With all the transportation changes, my daughter was originally Micah. She didn't want to leave here. But now she can't play sports, and she can't do music here. Mr. Gutman, our wonderful counselor, made a deal that she could do her electives in the afternoon. But Micah can't accommodate her music theory because they do it in the morning.
So your daughter is not playing sports at Micah Mountain?
No,
I am not.
Okay.
She cannot play sports at any high school. She can try out for Micah. She can possibly try out for Cienega, but she cannot try out for Empire, and she cannot try out for Andrada because they are smaller schools. If she were to be trying out for any schools, then that would change their division because they would have to count her attendance. So this is why our children are leaving. We don't want them to leave. She doesn't want to leave.
So let me answer your questions, okay? So the first one is a school has to be aligned with another school for athletics by AIA, by the Arizona Interscholastic. They can't choose anywhere. So Vail Academy in high school is aligned.
students that go here can participate in any athletic program at Micah Mountain. They cannot go to another school. That's thing one. I'm answering let me answer your other question. There is zero conversation has happened at all around where kids go. Should this school not have high school in the 27 and 28 school year? Zero. So if those things are happening, I'm telling you, I have no idea where that's coming from, because we've had zero conversation because there's been no decision made.
And I understand that. However, those conversations are happening. Our children knew about what was happening here before our parents, before a town hall.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. So for example, now that all the boundaries have completely changed again, my daughter is Cienega boundary. She doesn't want to go to Cienega, but she wants to be able to do sports. So our wonderful placement coordinator said, contact the principal at Cienega. I was told she can't even go to her district school because they're over capacity.
I'm certain she could go to Cienega.
Well, I made the phone call. My daughter's been on the transfer portal.
If you give me your name, I can talk to Amy tomorrow, and we can.
Talk to Amy. Also talk to Mr. Parks at Andrada, because she can't even get in there because they're over capacity.
Yeah.
And they're expecting a huge turnout in the next year.
We are honoring transfers, and I know that Cienega has space, so I don't know my grade level of exactly what that looks like, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
I just know I've played the long game for my daughter's sake, and it hasn't worked out. I want her to be here, but I want her to be able to experience high school life the way it used to be here, and the way the other high schools have it. And right now, as you had mentioned, yes, we are excelling in the middle school. We have updated the K through 8, which is wonderful because my niece is a kindergarten currently. However, let's pay a little attention to our high school students who are fighting to stay here. And even the district office is telling my child, I'm sorry, you can't go anywhere else because there's no room.
I can meet with you afterwards. I don't know why you're being told you can't go to Cienega. That's there's
It's not about
it's
about
thank
being
you.
able to do stuff for our children.
I'm going to close the meeting now, okay? So we will be here, Mrs. Vargo and I will be here. But let me tell you kind of what next steps are. So a couple of things. One, this is the beginning of the conversation, a broader conversation, especially regarding high school. So we will be communicating what those next steps are to gather your information and input and invite you into the process about, we'll be providing information to you about how you can participate in that process of helping us figure out what needs to happen at the high school level. And what that programming should be for kids. I've said it multiple times, so I won't say it again, but we must address that there is declining enrollment and declining interest at the high school level. Somehow, some way, its current situation is not sustainable, so we've got to be able to do that. And we want to invite you into that process. We will hold additional meetings, we will hold focus groups, we'll listen to additional ideas. All of those things we'll consider them, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. If at all possible, we want to make sure, we want to continue as a K-12 school. If it's not possible, we must explore other options. That's the facts. I mean, that's the reality of the situation, okay? But we will communicate to you about what the next steps are and how you can help participate in that group. And as Mrs. Vargo and I haven't talked about this, one of the other things is just watching that you all are still here. We can certainly send out surveys. You can write in your information. What is it that you want us to know about what that is? We want to hear from you. We need to hear from you on what that looks like. And if you have solutions, we can frame up the issue and get that information out to you, and you can give us your feedback. So this is not a done deal. This is not the end of the conversation. This is the beginning of the conversation. Okay? So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate your time, and we'll hang around for a little while longer. Thank you.